Hey everybody, this is Activities Across Grade Levels, and today we're going to talk about saving time and removing headaches. And if you are a teacher, I would think this would be a valuable topic for you. Oh, yes, and one of the things that we can do to help ourselves along is to add the occasional slide that reminds us of something we needed to do. And it's such a headache when you forget. And look, meta, you see what I did there? Okay, so anyway, so thanks goes out as well to all of the good folks at Fowler USD, especially because we get to borrow Susan for these wonderful that would be webinars, which can help loads of people all over the place who are trying to figure out how to do online learning in a better way. All the good folks at the Krause Center for Innovation and Merit 20 and all you folks, way to go. You are just such an amazing group of teachers. And if anyone tells you otherwise, just say like, no, I have it on good authority that we are amazing. All right. And to Richard Byrne for helping us get the word out about the different webinars that we do. And if you haven't been over to his Free Tech for Teachers site, definitely one to check out. Later on, you can come back to this particular slide and use the link right there to get there. We make that available to you. We're so nice. Richard and I do a webinar earlier on Thursday afternoons at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, called Two EdTech Guys Take Questions and Share Cool Stuff. And man, we had some cool stuff to share today. Richard shared whiteboard.chat, which was a new one to me. And that, you know, for any fan of Jamboard, you have to stop and say, I'm going to need to check out whiteboard.chat. So cool stuff there. So we're very happy to meet you. My co-pilot on this plane is Susan Stewart. And Susan, say a little bit about yourself.
Hello, hello. I am Susan Stewart. I'm an instructional technology teacher on special assignment. I'm a tech coach from Central California. I have had my role now for 7 years. And before that, I spent 14 years teaching kindergarten and second grade. I have 3 amazing kiddos, and I really enjoy spending this time each week just sharing great ideas with one of my favorite people in the world, and that is Rushton.
Hey, and that's me. And yes, that is the need to shave. It's not the ash that is falling everywhere at the moment. Went out to my car earlier to drive over to the post office, and I was rather impressed with the amount of dust on my car. This stuff is just floating around at the moment. Everybody stay healthy. If you are in California, stay inside, right? Okay, so I run a little shindig called Next Vista for Learning, and it's a library of videos, and teachers and students around the world have created very cool videos to help other people learn something, inspire them to see possibilities in service, things like this. And we hope that you'll give it a look. So there are videos about academic topics and communities and service to others, loads of over 600 videos to help those who are learning English. Right, so if you think, oh, that would be great, you know, just nice short videos focused on specific vocabulary and high frequency topics, yes, nice guess. So those kinds of things are available on the site. We hope you'll give it a look. And sometime today, when I go through all of the different people who have signed up for the newsletter, I will draw a name and send that person a Starbucks card, because that's just kind of fun. Yeah, so if you're kind of like, ooh, that sounds good, sign me up. Well, how do I do that? You go to the newsletter sign up page on nextvista.org. I'm gonna put that in the chat right now for the many hundreds and thousands of people who are joining us live. Not quite that many. Feel free to sign up and just say, hey, I'm already on your list, but put my name in the hat, and we will do so. How's this gonna work today? Well, what we do every week is we take a topic and we say, what would that look like for the K-2 crowd, the grade 3 to 5 crowd, the middle school crowd, the high school crowd? What does that look like? And our goal is to give you ideas, not just for your grade level, but ideas at all the grade levels that'll allow you to kind of go, oh, I can adapt that for my group. That's the idea. So we'll start with our K-2 crowd, the young learners. And with that, Susan, would you like to drive?
I would. Would you go ahead and allow me permission to share the screen?
I would be very happy to do that. You have permission, as it turns out.
And I can't hear you if you're talking.
All right. You cannot hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, there you are. You disappeared for a second.
All right. It was a moment, but can you share screen?
I can now. Absolutely. There we go. Awesome. So we are talking about our youngest learners, and you know, how do we save time as primary teachers? We have a lot of things on our mind, especially the just general classroom management that comes along with teaching little ones. So here are some ways we can save time and save headaches. I'll tell you one of my favorite ways is Slidesmania. If you have not yet been to Slidesmania, one thing I don't have time for as a teacher is making things look cute. I want to focus on content first, but there really is something to say about making it look nice, especially with the young ones. You want to be visually engaging. So Paula over at Slidesmania has provided an amazing resource, and this is why I need it in my life. She has templates and for lessons, templates for presentations, ready to use and free, right? So I love Paula at Slidesmania because it does allow me to kick things up a notch, just make it a little bit more visually interesting, and I don't have to start from scratch. Someone has done that work for me. Saves me a ton of time when someone does the work. So when I want to share something like the next website I'm going to share, I can have a thematic series of slides that all follow along that same theme. So the next tool I am going to share is called Classroom Screen. But since I was on that theme that Paula created, I went ahead and carried it on through the rest of my slides here. Classroomscreen.com. I'll show you an example in just a minute, but it's a great tool for just putting all the things in one space during your synchronous meeting or during your live in-person class. I can have a random name selector, I can have a timer, notes, just all the little important things I might want to have on my screen. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like live. I have a classroom screen running right here. And what you see, I have a series of things. I have just a bit of text I've left on the screen. It says today is Thursday, September 10th. Maybe some instructions for my students. So if I am running my synchronous meeting in Zoom or Google Meet, I might leave some instructions while they're working on some independent tasks. Finish your activity, work on your iReady reading. Maybe I can have a live timer going right here on the screen, so it'll actually run a timer for me right here. You'll notice that there's the signal light, very visual for my young learners. Maybe I have a code that means when it's green, you can ask questions. When it's yellow, use the chat. When it's red, you know, I'm working with another student, so go ahead and, you know, come back in a couple minutes, whatever my code happens to be. And I also notice that noise meter. That's really nice when you're in-person teaching, especially because it's just a little visual notice about the amount of noise in the room. So I love that I have this classroom screen. You see there are a number of little widgets across the bottom where I can add these just little tools all in one space. And again, I can leave that up during my synchronous meeting, or I can just have it up on the board in my live classroom. Saves me time from having all the different windows. I can put everything right here visually ready to go for my learners. So classroomscreen.com is one I have there. Let me go back into this mode over here. And as we continue on, another way, you know, it wouldn't be me if I didn't bring in Seesaw to the conversation, because how do I save time with Seesaw? Well, of course, there is that library of thousands and thousands of ready to use pre-made activities like this one created by our friend Ben Cogswell. I can go in and find some really high quality activities that I can assign to my students in an instant. No prep time on my part. I know my learning outcome. We're talking about number bonds and you know, numbers to 10. And I see that I can use those manipulatives to drag that over. I assign this to my kids in an instant without any prep work. So I really love that. But to take it to the next level, I can also use audio and video to leave feedback for my students right there on the canvas. So one thing about Seesaw and many of the things our students turn into us is we want to have that opportunity to leave fast feedback. I want to be able to engage with my learners. I want them to know that I saw it, and I want to go beyond that good job. Right? How do I leave some meaningful feedback in a quick way to save some time for myself? So I'm going to demonstrate that live as well right now. So I happen to have some work by a very cute kindergarten student. He's mine. And I want to leave him some feedback for what he created there. So when I edit his item, I notice I have some choices here, and you can see he's very proud. He's recorded his drawing. He said, I played with my family, and there's a picture he's drawn of us in the pool. And so it's just really fun way for even the kindergartners to write in a traditional way, but then he was able to record his voice explaining what he did. Let's see if that audio will come through.
I play with my family at home. I go swimming and play games.
So just a quick little way to do that. Now, as the teacher, I can leave him some video feedback right on this screen. So when I use the camera icon, one of my choices says video. And it's going to quickly, I may have to switch cameras real quick. There we go. I can leave my quick feedback for Jarrett right here on the screen, maybe. And this is where we might have technical difficulties because I'm trying to do a video of a video on a video. Oh no, when you try to do live sometimes, Let me try one more time. Sometimes you just need to push the button again. Let me do a quick video. Oh my, and so what would happen if we didn't have multiple video things going on? I was actually be able to leave a video right on his screen. I could say, hey, Jarrett, you did an awesome job of coloring the picture of the family in the pool. I wonder how many seconds you can hold your breath for, whatever specific feedback I might leave right there on the page. You can see an example of this in our presentation here, where this tiny little video is able to be placed right on the canvas, and the student can read the feedback right there. So it's a quick way for me to give feedback that's meaningful, because even with those young learners, if I were to type out a long bit of feedback, they can't always read it. So it's really nice for me to be able to give that quick feedback in a way that is accessible to the little ones. And I can use audio or video feedback to do that. So moving on to the upper elementary. A couple other ways I can save time and prevent headaches, right? Two great tools to do that. The first one is flippity.net. So if you haven't used Flippity before, let me tell you that Flippity is a great way to save time, especially when it comes to making groups of students. There's a random name selector that allows me to just paste in a series of names, and it will divide my students into groups. It will pick a student automatically. I'd love to show you that quickly because Flippity is awesome. So we're going to hope for no more technical glitches, and I want to take you to Flippity. So when I get to Flippity, I notice that there are a number of tools, and these are all based in spreadsheets. And I know sometimes people say spreadsheets and people say, ah, spreadsheets, that's like Excel, that's scary. But I'll tell you, spreadsheets are amazing. And all of these spreadsheets are already, all of the like nerdy back-end coding is done. What I know as a teacher is I get here and I grab a spreadsheet that someone has already made. Someone has already made the cool part of this. So when I get to Flippity, I can download one of their templates. It's very kind. It asks me to make a copy of it. Yes, absolutely. You already did the work for me. Let me take advantage of this. And I noticed some students. These may not be my students, but for time's sake, they're going to be. And I'm going to add Rushton in here. And so all I need to do is put the names into the spreadsheet. I put my own students there. A couple little nerdy clicks that I've learned just from experience is I have to go File, Publish to Web, and the instructions are all on the second page. And I hit OK. So what I've done is I've added some names. Now I've done this one time. I never have to do it again, of course, unless I get a new student, but that's OK. We can get some fluency and practice in our spreadsheets. When I click the activities, something really magical happens. All of the spreadsheet magic of Flippity happens when I click this link. It takes me to a live website where I have, at the base level, a spinner. I could just, quick random name selectors. Saves time because I can call on students quickly. I can use some random selection here. But even better is I need my kids divided up into 2 groups, and I need 2 groups right now. Right here, 2 groups. Everybody, there you go. Oh, you 2 can't be together. Let me switch that up really quick so I can do that. And what I really meant, though, I didn't mean 2 groups. What I really wanted was groups of 2. Let me switch that up. Or groups of 5. However I want to do that, I can quickly divide my students up, save time from having to form groups right there using that Flippity random name selector. But that's not the only thing there at Flippity. I notice a number of other learning tools. If I have students who have some kind of vocabulary concept I want them to reinforce, some new idea, or maybe I just want students to do something creative as a way to apply their learning. I love the flashcard generator, because students can make their own quizzing cards for an upcoming, series of learning, maybe again, difficult vocabulary, key ideas. They can make their own quiz show. How awesome is it when we give students content and then they have to create questions and the answers, right? One of those Common Core standards says, ask and answer questions about a topic. Well, when the students are getting the content and they go into the text and they have to generate those questions, I'm saving time. The person doing the work, that's the one doing the learning. And I know this stuff. So if I put it in the students' hands, I teach smarter because they are really getting in there. So it saves me time from having to generate content when they are making their own learning content right there at Flippity. So Flippity is one way that I can save some time. But of course, the Bitmoji extension too. Let's talk about that. Bitmoji is all the craze right now. And there's some really, there's some value there. When we're talking about teaching remotely, I love the Bitmoji extension. When I pop a little picture of me or a likeness of me on the screen, it brings me to that, even that asynchronous lesson. If I provided asynchronous content and I still want to be present in the learning, I can drop a Bitmoji extension on there. It's silly, but it's important that we continue to connect with our students. And I can use the Bitmoji extension in Chrome to actually drag Bitmoji right on to the page. Now, I'm always careful to not do this in front of students because not every Bitmoji that pops up on that little menu is always appropriate. Sometimes there are ones I wouldn't want to show to students, but when I'm reviewing my students' work, especially my older students' work who are doing work in, say, Google Classroom, I can go type in comments if I want, but let's be real. Everybody loves a sticker. So what if I use that Bitmoji extension and I just dragged on some stickers, right? I go up there and I could just drag, I can find some of those positive reinforcing stickers and drag it onto my students' work, just like I put a sticker on it. The reason why is kids want that validation, that feedback. They want to know that you're there. They do all this work, and it's just a quick way to save me some time from having to type out feedback. Now, hopefully I might use something like the mode extension or Screencastify and make sure that they are getting that other feedback as well. But everything that crosses our desk, we want to make sure there's some acknowledgement of. So by putting my little Bitmoji sticker on there, and I love the Bitmoji extension simply because it makes that happen quickly. Last one I'm going to share is a thing that actually happened live today with teachers. Teacher came to me with a need. She says, I'm typing out these hand summaries each week, and I just want my parents to be updated on student progress. I just want to send them this little update quickly. Now, in the traditional classroom, she would have done it on a quarter sheet of paper where she just scribbled in these scores and sent home a paper each week. And she's already keeping that information, the weekly scores, in a spreadsheet. Now, there I said spreadsheet again. She's already doing this work. So we use something called Autocrat, which is an add-on for Google Sheets, and it gets a little bit nerdy. But the coolest part about Autocrat is it takes that information out of the spreadsheet and it automatically merges it into this nice template. So I can now, again, the summary of data automatically populates into one of these, whether I have 12 students or 18 students or 130 students. Spreadsheet data plus this empty template comes together and the magic happens. I didn't have to go hand create all of those reports for the students, and I can do this weekly or maybe by grading period. It's a quick way for me to give a little bit more thorough information than that might be generated by my student information system, right? I can add my personalized notes and just some really customized information per student. So merging a Google Sheet with my data, my information, Autocrat, which is a great add-on for Google Sheets, and then some template I've created with Google Slides, Automagic, keeping in touch with families, right there, all the awesome, save some time. Okay. Can't hear you again, Rushton. Oh. I think you might be muted.
That is a whole lot of cool stuff in one go, he said, having unmuted and making it far easier for anybody to actually hear him. Thank you very much. So what we've got is some stuff. Help along as well. All right, middle school. So first order of business for thinking about content for your classes is don't reinvent any wheels. You just don't want to reinvent the wheel. Bad idea. And a lot of tools out there have really embraced the idea that what we need is to get teachers creating things and sharing them. And so a lot of the tools that you probably are using are tools that have a lot of good content in them. So I'm thinking about like Edpuzzle. And when you think of, say, Edpuzzle and the stuff that they crank out, one of the things to know is that when you go into Edpuzzle, popular channels over here on the left is where you can really begin to find a lot of stuff. And so you take a look and you say, okay, well, you know, I'm really interested in this, I'm really interested in that. And if you like this judicial branch one, and you think, well, what else has Tim Thomas done? Click on Tim Thomas's name. You're going to find that Tim has found other things that he's picked up and adjusted in some fashion, 5 questions, 9 questions, things like this, as a part of what he's done in Edpuzzle. Same is true for quizzes. Quizzes is, I think, my favorite game tool. It even starts where you start searching for things, and there's all kinds of cool content that people are creating. And when you go searching, you tend to get a lot of hits, but it's real good at finding good things to rise to the top of the list. So you can then use or adapt any of these things as you go as well. I'll add that Kahoot, another strong quiz tool, and Pear Deck for synchronous engagement, which is a bit of a preview of stuff coming up next week. More to say on that later. All have content that you might want to take a look at, because in Pear Deck it's called the Orchard, right? And so if you go to teaching resources and explore content, you get to the Orchard. And in the Orchard, there's just all this stuff that people have come up with. I saw this earlier and I was like, well, it looks like Shannon Miller. And I'm like, oh, it's because it's Shannon Miller, right? And then there's the partnership that they have with Newsela as well. Lots and lots of material that you don't have to go to the trouble of creating yourself. Do not reinvent the wheel. Now, a bit of a headache for a lot of people when we're thinking about what kind of things you do when you're using Zoom is, let's say that you're not sharing your entire screen, you're just sharing one particular one, and you want to switch to another one. Now, assuming that other one is up and available, then instead of, say, stop sharing, share screen, choose the one, and then you're back, while you're sharing the first one, you can go to the control area, and share screen has changed to new share. So you click on that, and you can just go right from one to the other. Mic drop. That is one of those things that just a lot of people need to know, right? Because if you didn't know, you're like, oh, it's such a pain to, yeah, you can avoid that. So use new share, one less headache in your life. No, thank you. All right. Let's talk about some high school stuff. Now that we're up into kind of full-on teenage angst, what can we do with that? Well, start with just the very simple move in Google of using the file type search. Now, when I say the file type command, what does that mean? Well, let's go to Google and take a little look here. Google.com, the site you may have seen before, right? And you say, well, really, what I need some slides related to the Great Wall of China. Great Wall of China, and then file type colon's important, PPT. Now you might say, PowerPoint, I thought you were using Google Slides. Hey, I'll use anything that's good, doesn't matter to me. So by doing this file type PPT, what that means is it's only searching for PowerPoint slides. So every result will be a PowerPoint. You see, PPT, 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 PPT. And what you can do is you can go through and you can take a look. And if you like what's there, use it, but always cite your source, because that's important. Hey, wait, but does that mean kids can do the same thing and they can like change the name and turn it in as if it were theirs? Yes. However, if you are looking at their work carefully, you can probably stop and say, I don't know that that's yours. No, I did it. Really? Why, I'm a little suspicious, but why would you say that? Well, I've just never seen you use the word oleaginous before. Oh, well, I looked it up. Sure you did. So those kinds of moments can happen. Fair enough. But I would contend that if you're teaching about the Great Wall of China, and what you do is you assign everybody to create a PowerPoint, slides, keynote, whatever, and what they do is then create a whole bunch of PowerPoints that all look about the same, that's on you, right? Instead, maybe have them actually look up and find stuff that other people have done and critique it. Is this good content? What do we know about it? How would we validate the information in it, right? So that's actually a different approach to using content that's out there that might be really, really helpful for getting kids to up their game in terms of quality. File type and then PPT, PDF, if you're looking for syllabus for a course that you've just been told you're going to start teaching next week. Isn't that a lovely moment? Oh, well, I've never taught environmental science before. Well, we think you can do it. Right, and so what you do is you go to Google and you do environmental science, grade 10 or whatever, file type PDF, and you just might find a syllabus for that. Put the syllabus in there as well. Environmental science syllabus, grade 10, file type PDF, and you're on your way. Last little thing I'm going to share with this day is just one approach to assessment. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you're kind of like, oh my goodness, with this online learning thing, one of the hardest pieces of this is getting kids to show me what they know in a way that doesn't seem to like involve rampant cheating. So like if you're like, oh, I'm going to give them a multiple choice quiz. Yeah, well, good luck with that. But Buddy and I were working on a plan this week, and he gave this a shot and it worked pretty well with his. Caveats galore. You have to have a good rapport with the kids. The kids have to be, just kind of ready to kind of speak honestly about things as well. But here you go. So here, take a look. In this case, we've got China's objective in the Opium War was, all right, and it's multiple choice. And then justify your answer. Important piece. And then the extraterritorial rights granted in the Treaty of Nanjing in 1842 meant that, blah, 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 blah. You choose one, justify your answer. So every student would have this, maybe via a classroom assignment that you've done. They all have that, and they put their ideas together. The first thing you do is you say, okay, now that we've had a chance to work with all of that, I want to put you guys in breakout rooms, and in your breakout rooms, I want you to discuss your answers and come to some agreement about what you think is right about it and come up with further questions you might have. Then you bring everybody back together, and while they're all back together, you can kind of say, okay, well, what questions do you have? You can then have them go back to their group. So you just go right back to breakout rooms, open all rooms, send them into it. And what happens at that point is that they talk through, and what they know is that one member of their group, so you're thinking probably like groups, maybe 4 per group or something like this. One member of the group is going to be moved to a breakout room with you, and you are going to quiz that person within a set time frame. So, all right, you got 2 minutes to tell me about the Treaty of Nanjing. Go. See what the student does. Now, if the other students have worked together well, they have all practiced with each other and they've really thought through it quite actively. It's a very active review. And what happens is that one student's job of responding to the question becomes the grade for that portion of the assignment for all of them. Now, some will say, oh, no, that's not fair. Well, if your students will work together to try to make sure they're talking through these things, they'll all do better. But if you are kind of nervous about the idea that somebody's parent's going to be like, rah, 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 one of the things you can do is say, okay, every 6 weeks, what I'll do is I'll say the 3 or 4 different times we've done this, if you ended up with a grade that was low because somebody else performed low, you can always come back and I will give you another chance to raise your grade specifically. But what you have to do is I'm going to give you like one of any of the ones we've asked and then have you speak to it. So you can't just prep one answer, right? You have to be ready for multiple things. So that's a way to go for it. Now, once you have people with you, the others, or the people who've already gone, they can be working on prep work for the next class. So that's how you use that time well. And that's one way to go about it. I would also say that if you're looking to save time and remove headaches, one of the things you should do is take good care of yourself, right? So this is important. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, eating right, getting a little exercise, and getting away from the screen from time to time. You may also want to sign up for my little Shindigs newsletter because that affords you the opportunity to win a Starbucks card because that's kind of fun. You might check out my blog at Inspiring Improvement. And once you come back and you start looking at the different slides, because I'll send you an email that allows you to do that, you can click on any of these links to get to these things and see what you find. Right? And if you want to do kind of some work with the books and you want to do a bit of a book study together and you want me to join you via Zoom and just talk to your group a bit, happy to do it. All right, so next week, synchronous engagement. We're going to talk about like Nearpod and Pear Deck and similar. Just the different kinds of things you can do to keep kids engaged with active learning while you are doing distance learning. So we hope you will join us next Thursday at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern for that. Susan, wind us down.
Alrighty, thanks everyone. What a great topic. I learned a few things there as well. I love some of those ideas to save time. Absolute mic drop moment there. It's interesting how, something you think changed up just a little bit, really. Wow.
I saw your eyes light up on the new share bit, right?
Yeah, I was just like.
Until somebody mentions it, right?
Yeah, until someone, and you realize how much time you spend. Stop, switch gears, share again. I am Susan Stewart, instructional technology coach. You can find me on the internet at Tech Coach Susan. And also under the hashtag, I share oftentimes with the hashtag K2Can2 because I'm all about empowering those little learners because they can do a lot more than they often get credit for.
And I'm Rushton Hurley, and I am a former high school teacher of Japanese, a former principal of a K-12 school, former principal of an online high school, and now I run a little nonprofit guy. And I love doing this stuff. I hope that the stuff that we've been recording is valuable to you, that you're finding that the different things we share might be interesting. If ever you say, hey, I really wish you'd do one of these activities across grade levels on topic X or Y or Z, write us and let us know at nextvista.org. There's a little contact us at the top of the page and just tell us what you want. And we will start working on some of those ideas. So we hope that you have a wonderful evening. We are glad you have joined us. And with that, I think I will finish off our little recording today by looking right past my camera where I've got stop recording and say, a pleasure. We'll see you next week.